Good day everyone, I am Kristen May Makasilig from Best Ed Social Studies 3. So now, I and my group mates will going to discuss about the neoliberalism and its limits. With my group mates, Ann Michelle Kiskis, Recommendation Windelin, Pagon Rochil, and Vanessa Salva. So, grab your pen and notebook for today's talk. As we progress this module, let me read the precise learning objectives before we begin our discussion. At the end of the topic, students will be able to justify how does neoliberalism affect globalization, understand the brief history of the neoliberalism, and define what is neoliberalism in the city. So what is neoliberalism? So neoliberalism is a term for a political and economic policies associated with restraint, free market, and global capitalism. The term was popularized in 1980s by Ronald Reagan. So proponents of neoliberalism see free markets and free trade as foundation for a human flourishing, creating the most favorable conditions for individuals' liberties. So job growth, technological innovation, and transnational collaborations that promote peace and global prosperity. Do you believe that government interference with free market systems promotes waste, inefficiency, and stagnation? Do you reject regulations on industries, high taxation, and public services that are not subject to market competitions? And believe in shrinking the size of government and restricting its functions to the private property through policies and law enforcement. So laissez-faire economics proposes that continued economic growth will lead to technological innovations, expansion of the free market, and limited state and interference. So additionally for this, neoliberalism is sometimes confused with libertarianism. However, neoliberals typically advocate for more government intervention in economy and society than libertarianism. For example, while neoliberals usually favor progressive taxation. In addition for this, neoliberals often do not oppose measures such as bailouts of major industries, which are anathema to libertarians. So, neoliberalism involves the belief that greater economic freedom leads to greater economic and social progress for individuals.
Good day everyone, I am Ann Michelle Kiskis from BSED Social Studies 3, and today we're going to talk about a brief history of neoliberalism. Harvey traces the intellectual roots of neoliberal thought to the Austrian political philosopher Friedrich von Hayek, the author of the Constitution of the Liberty. David Harvey is Distinguished Professor of Anthropology at the Graduate Center of the City of New York. He formerly held professorial posts at Oxford University and the Johns Hopkins University, and has written extensively on a political economy of globalization, urbanization, and cultural change. Oxford University Press published his books The New Imperialism in September 2003 that was reissued in the paper February 2005. Neoliberalism and the city. So the government of the market must be shielded from democratic process and common goods ideals and put in the hands of expert economists who are the only one capable of constructing and regulating free market environment. Ronald Reagan, was also known as Ronald Wilson Reagan, was an American political union leader, the actor who served as the 40th President of the United States from the year 1981 to 1989. He also stated that in the present crisis, government is not the solution of all problems, government is the problem, and he also known for the Reaganomics. Deng Xiaoping was the Chinese politician who served as the paramount leader of the People's Republic of China from December 1978 to November 1989. Deng was a reformer who led China towards a market economy. He also stated that to learn knowledge and truth from the West in order to save the China. Augustus Pinochet, so Augustus Jose Ramon Pinochet Ugarte was a Chilean general who ruled Chile from 1973 to 1990 and was the first military from Junta Chile from the year 1973 to 1981 and was being declared the president of the republic by the junta in 1947 and became the de facto dictator of Chile. He killed, interfered, and tortured thousands of political opponents. The neoliberalism is a free market economics and the philosophy that favors the deregulation of the market industries, the limitation of taxes and tariffs, and the privatization of the government functions, passing them over a private business. So the core concept of the neoliberalism first is the society should be shaped by the free market and the economy should be deregulated and should be privatized. Second, in this theory sees free trade and free market inevitable for the flourishing of the humankind. The third one is the proponents of neoliberalism believe that the interference of the government as free system market that promotes inefficiency of stagnation.
Good day everyone. I am Vanessa Saldoa Salva and I am here to tackle about the neoliberalism and the urban condition. Neoliberalism is a political and economic doctrine that emphasizes individual autonomy, equality of opportunity, and the protection of individual rights, so like primarily to life, liberty, and property. Originally against the state and later against both the state and private economic actors including business. So there are three types areas to focus in neoliberalism. First, commercial liberalism. It is a branch of international relations theory which states that promoting free trade and economic interdependence is the road to peace, and is advocated by global financial institutions and multinational companies. So it is also defined as an economic theory for advocating the free markets as well as the removal of barriers to the flow of trade and capital as a locomotive for prosperity. Second type is the democracy. So liberalism believes in the true and values of democracy, and it urges the countries to give their best for providing all the rights to people to improve their lifestyle. Third is liberal institution. So neoliberalism is fully focused on the creation of institutions to promote peace and prosperity in the status. And this theory believes in social factors of society and stress for the institution. So let's talk about neoliberalism and the urban condition. So over 2 decades ago, the term restructured a popular label for describing the tumultuous political, economic, and spatial transformations that were unfolding across the global urban system. So, restructuring is meant to convey a break in secular trends and shift towards a significantly different order and configuration of social, economic, and political life. So, it thus evokes a sequence of breaking down and building up again, deconstruction, and attempted reconstitution arising from certain incapacities or weakness. Deconstruction and attempted reconstitution arising from certain incapacities or weaknesses in the established order which preclude conventional adaptations and demand significant structural change. Instead, restructuring implies flux and transition, offensive and defensive posture, a complex mix of continuity and change. So, in the present of neoliberalism and the urban condition, it offers a series intended to capture some of the key ideas developed in this emergent literature. So, number one is neoliberalism is a process. So, neoliberalism is not fixed and in state or condition. Rather, it represents a process or market-driven social and spatial transformation or neoliberalization. Second is neoliberalism is articulated through contextually specific strategies. So neoliberalism does not exist in a single pure form, but is always articulated through historically and geographically specific strategies of instructional transformation and ideological rearticulation. The third one is neoliberalism hinges upon the active mobilization of state power. So neoliberalism does not entail the rolling back of state regulation and the rolling forward of the market. Instead, it generates a complex reconstitution of state economy relation in which state institutions are actively mobilized to promote market-based regulatory arrangement. The fourth one is neoliberalization generates path-dependent outcomes. So it means it does not engender identical economic or political or spatial outcomes in each context in which it is imposed, rather as place, territory, and scale-specific neoliberal project collide with inherited regulatory landscape, contextually specific pathways of institutional reorganization crystallize that reflect the legacies of earlier modes of regulation and forms of constitution. Number 5 is neoliberalization is intensely contested. It is understood as the attempt to impose market-based regulatory arrangement and socio-cultural norms. 6 is neoliberalization exacerbates regulatory failure. So the imposition of neoliberalism has not established a framework for stable economic development. So political regulation or social cohesion. Rather, neoliberalization projects are deeply contradictory insofar as they tend to undermine many of the economic, institutional, and geographical preconditions for economic and social revitalization. And number 7, the last one, is the project of neoliberalism continues to evolve. So the failures of neoliberalism have not triggered its abandonment or dissolution as a project of radical institutional transformation. So to the contrary, this project has continued to reinvent itself politically, organizationally, or spatially, in close conjunction with its purposively dysfunctional social consequences.